Meghan Markle's shocking humiliation in Geneva finally proves that she has just gone mad.
Meghan has booked herself a solo trip to Switzerland to stand on a Geneva plaza alongside the Director General of the World Health Organization. The husband is staying behind in Montecito with the children. The wife is flying alone to a United Nations square.
Hi, Meghan. Hi.
Meghan Markle made a huge announcement, claiming Archewell Philanthropies would be co-hosting the 79th World Health Assembly alongside the World Health Organization. The statement quickly spread across entertainment news outlets and press reports, painting the Duchess of Sussex as a major humanitarian figure connected to one of the world's biggest health organizations.
I mean, this was the moment, Nancy Silly pointed it out, this was the moment, the major defeat on her face when she realized that no one had bothered to show up for what was a catastrophic speech, a hypocritical speech, a speech which blows out of the water every single thing that she has argued in terms of her brand.
But there was a major issue hiding behind the headlines. Archewell Philanthropies was not registered as a foundation, charity, or even an official company at the time the claim was made. As of April 22nd, the trademark application had only been assigned to an officer for review, and that process alone can reportedly take anywhere from 12 to 16 months if nobody challenges it. In other words, the group Meghan claimed was helping co-host a United Nations-linked event did not legally exist in a formal sense yet.
But let's just start, before we get into it, with the total lack of numbers, the total lack of interest. Prince William's jaw pointed out she was assigned to a bus stop. Look at that. Look at in the red circle. So actually, the woman who everyone's saying is there to watch was actually just trying to get home.
Even more surprising, the official World Health Organization website told a completely different story from the one shared by Meghan's team. There was no mention of Archewell anywhere in the official information connected to the 79th World Health Assembly. No partnership listing, no co-host title, and no sign that Meghan had any official role tied to the event. This gathering has been happening for almost 80 years and brings together health ministers, policy experts, and delegates from across the globe. Somehow, the event managed just fine for decades before Meghan Markle suddenly appeared linked to it in headlines and media coverage.
Meghan's mole pointed out that even the Sussex squaddies couldn't be bothered to go to Geneva to support Meghan Markle, and as J.E. May quite rightly added, take away the staff and media required to be there for work and you'll be left with the flagpole.
The biggest question surrounding this situation is simple. How did she manage to place herself in the middle of such a high-profile global event? What kind of strategy, connections, or persistence helped someone without official standing become attached to one of the most photographed health summits of the year? According to sources and commentators discussing the story, this follows a pattern critics have pointed out before when it comes to how the Sussex brand operates in public. Critics say this was not about being brought in because of deep health expertise or a long-standing charitable background. Instead, they argue it looked more like pushing into the spotlight and seeing whether anyone would challenge it afterward. The wording used in announcements also matters a lot here. When an event is described as being hosted by two groups, people naturally assume there is a real partnership, direct coordination, and shared responsibility behind the scenes.
And of course, this does raise a really interesting point. As Resting Dollface said, nobody's there, so why does Meghan Markle need security? There's a street with cars behind her, no crowds, people walking by, not caring. Nobody cares about what Meghan Markle had to say. She posts her own kids online.
Meghan claiming co-hosting status for an organization that reportedly had no legal standing was not viewed by critics as some tiny exaggeration. They argued it completely changed the public perception of her role and influence. In their eyes, she turned herself from a guest attending the event into what looked like an equal partner standing beside the World Health Organization, all through the wording pushed out in a press release. What made the timing stand out even more was what had just happened with Princess Catherine. Catherine had recently completed a highly praised solo trip to Italy, marking her first major international appearance since finishing cancer treatment. Media coverage around the world focused on her calm approach, her connection with the public, and the causes she supports. The response was overwhelmingly positive and gave Buckingham Palace a major wave of attention.
And New York Vicky, I think, really got the mood of this one right by suggesting that Meghan Markle is the antithesis of the icon that she thinks she is. She is the grandiose narcissist whose displays of self-worship are now and always have been farcical. And she zoomed in on the faces of those watching.
Only days later, Meghan announced her own international appearance tied to a global health summit, using language that critics say made her role sound far bigger and more official than it actually was. At this stage, many royal watchers believe the pattern is impossible to ignore. Whenever senior royals receive strong positive attention, another headline or public move seems to emerge from Montecito soon after, pulling focus back toward Harry and Meghan. Supporters of the royal family were also quick to point out the difference between the two situations. Catherine's Italy visit was reportedly planned years in advance through official royal channels, while Meghan's Geneva appearance was described by some commentators as something arranged at the last possible moment. According to reports from sources speaking to royal commentators, Meghan allegedly did not receive a traditional formal invitation to the World Health Assembly through the usual process. Instead, critics claim she launched an aggressive outreach effort directed toward WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Sources familiar with the claims described repeated emails and constant attempts to secure access.
It didn't look like anyone was there, like, at all. A fan of Meghan's even said she went and greeted everyone who came to watch, which was like 10 people in a serious international city like Geneva.
Some commentators even characterized the persistence as overwhelming, saying message after message was allegedly sent in an effort to gain entry and visibility at the event. The strategy reportedly included what critics described as a major layer of misdirection. Sources claimed Meghan contacted organizers using Prince Harry's email account, saying that both she and the Duke of Sussex would attend the Geneva event together. The message allegedly carried a very clear implication. Harry's presence would instantly add royal status, credibility, and global attention that Meghan alone may not have been able to secure. According to commentators discussing the situation, Harry's name still carries major influence because of his royal background and public image. By presenting the appearance as a joint Sussex visit, critics believe Meghan gained access and consideration she may not have received on her own. Some royal watchers pointed out that similar claims have surfaced before involving outreach tied to Harry's title and connections.
This flop lays bare how people care about Meghan and her nonsense, which is undermined by her decision to exploit her own children on social media for likes and engagement. And the timing of this, of course, could not be more mortifying when we compare Meghan's crowds to Catherine's crowds in Italy while I was away last week. And as Meghan's mole put it, I mean, you don't need to comment. You don't need to comment, do you?
One example often mentioned came from a former United States ambassador to the United Nations, who previously revealed that Meghan had contacted her through a private email while presenting herself as connected to the office of Prince Harry. The ambassador reportedly thought the message looked suspicious at first, even wondering if it might be spam or a fake phishing attempt using Harry's name to gain trust. Weeks later, after checking through official diplomatic channels, she learned the email was real. Meghan had reportedly obtained her private contact details and used Harry's royal association as the first point of contact. Critics say these situations reveal a larger pattern connected to how access and influence are pursued under the Sussex brand. In their view, Harry's royal title and reputation help open doors, while Meghan then takes center stage once those doors are unlocked.
But there's just one moment at the end, and I want you to watch closely here. She's touching her nose. And I don't know what it's about. I've got some idea of what it's about. And I just want you to like you to watch closely. Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and think she's trying to do the one tear left eye. She's trying to get some emotion.
The royal connection creates instant attention and legitimacy. But after that, critics argue the focus shifts toward Meghan's personal image, projects, and media positioning, rather than a broader shared mission. According to commentators following the WHO situation, officials may have believed they were agreeing to a visit involving both the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, complete with Harry's charitable reputation and ties to the royal family. Instead, Meghan reportedly arrived alone while Harry stayed behind in Montecito with their children. Critics argue this left organizers in an uncomfortable position. Publicly correcting or challenging the claims could have created even bigger headlines and unnecessary controversy, so remaining silent may have seemed like the easier option. Commentators claim this strategy places people in difficult situations where speaking up creates more trouble than simply letting the narrative continue. For many large organizations, the easier option is often to stay quiet rather than publicly challenge a high-profile narrative. Critics argue that once a story is already spreading through headlines and press coverage, correcting it can create even more attention and controversy.
Into the end of her speech, but it's curious. Look.
One day, generations from now, children will look back at this era with absolute disbelief that adults once allowed digital spaces to exist without basic protections for young people. But let's do something now so that they will also look back and see that during this increasingly polarized time, where people can barely agree on basic facts, that beyond politics or party lines.
Because of that, some believe institutions end up indirectly helping Meghan's public image simply because avoiding conflict feels safer than stepping into a public dispute. According to sources discussing the situation, the outreach reportedly continued until someone finally agreed to a meeting or appearance. Critics claim that once Meghan secured even a small opening, her reported role quickly expanded far beyond what may have originally been discussed. By the time press statements described Archewell as a co-host alongside the World Health Organization, commentators argue the situation had already become difficult to challenge publicly without creating damaging headlines and confusion for the event itself. Reports surrounding the Geneva trip also focused heavily on Prince Harry's involvement at the beginning of the process. Critics say his name appeared in the early communications and helped add credibility that opened doors Meghan may not have been able to open on her own. His royal background, charitable reputation, and global profile reportedly gave the outreach far more weight during the access stage. But once the trip became official, Harry was nowhere to be seen at the actual event. Meghan traveled alone to Geneva, while Harry reportedly stayed behind in California with their children. To royal commentators, the optics raised even more questions because the original pitch allegedly centered on both the Duke and Duchess attending together.
Thank you for being here this evening. And thank you, Dr. Tedros, not simply for your leadership at the World Health Organization, but for your clarity in recognizing that this is not simply a technology issue.
Sources familiar with the claims believe Harry may never have planned to attend the World Health Assembly in the first place. Critics argue his name mainly served as leverage during the process of gaining access and attention. Once the appearance was secured, Meghan reportedly continued forward solo while Harry remained in Montecito. Commentators described it as a classic switch in presentation, where Harry's royal connection helped open the door, but his actual presence at the event may never have been part of the plan. This theory became even more noticeable to critics because online safety and digital wellness projects have largely been connected to Harry's public work in recent years. He has spoken before Congress about the dangers tied to social media, discussed the impact of online platforms on mental health, and frequently linked these issues to the media treatment surrounding Princess Diana. Because of that history, many royal watchers believe Harry would have been the more expected representative if the Geneva appearance had truly been focused on advancing shared Sussex work around technology and online safety initiatives. Harry has long been the Sussex family member most closely connected to conversations around online safety and mental health issues. He has built a public track record through speeches, interviews, and policy discussions tied to the dangers of social media and digital harm. Yet when the Geneva event arrived, Meghan was the one boarding the plane while Harry stayed behind in Montecito, taking on what some media reports have described as a Mr. Mom role at home with the children. Critics quickly noticed the contrast. The project and messaging were strongly linked to Harry's previous advocacy work, but the major international photo opportunity centered almost entirely around Meghan. She reportedly traveled with longtime friend and associate Marcus Anderson, while Harry, whose royal title and reputation allegedly helped secure access in the first place, remained in California. For royal commentators, the disconnect raised even more questions about how decisions are made inside the Sussex operation.
It is a public health issue, and a human one. Behind us stands the Lost Screen Memorial. Not statistics, not avatars, not data points. Children.
Critics argue that Harry's causes often become platforms that ultimately spotlight Meghan's image and visibility. In their view, his royal background and credibility help create opportunities, while Meghan becomes the public face standing front and center once those doors are opened. Commentators who have followed the couple for years say they see a repeating pattern here. According to critics, Harry's connections and reputation are frequently used as the entry point, but his actual involvement becomes less important once access is secured. Some even argue that many Sussex appearances now seem designed more around Meghan's personal branding and media image than around the charitable goals originally attached to the projects. One royal commentator jokingly described the situation as Harry staying home with a basket of orchard fruit, while Meghan traveled internationally, chasing the kind of high-profile imagery that performs well for streaming platforms, headlines, and social media. Critics continue debating whether this arrangement reflects Harry's personal choice, or whether he has simply stepped back while Meghan takes control of the public-facing narrative surrounding their work together. The timing also added another layer to the discussion, because Princess Catherine had only just returned from a widely praised trip to Italy. The Princess of Wales received glowing international attention during her first solo foreign tour since completing cancer treatment. Reports highlighted her visits to early childhood education programs in Florence and her warm interactions with children, teachers, and local communities, moments many viewers described as natural, sincere, and highly effective for the royal family's public image. The reaction to Princess Catherine's Italy trip was extremely positive across British newspapers, European media, and international outlets. Coverage focused on how healthy, confident, and committed she appeared while returning to public duties connected to causes she has supported for many years. Her appearances generated major praise, especially because the trip came after such a difficult personal period following her cancer treatment. According to several royal commentators, Meghan was unlikely to let that level of attention pass without responding in some way. Critics have often described her as highly focused on royal media coverage, closely watching headlines involving the working royals and reacting with new announcements or appearances designed to shift attention back toward the Sussex brand. Some commentators believe the glowing response to Catherine's return may have triggered the same kind of competitive dynamic critics say has followed royal headlines for years. In their view, seeing Catherine praised globally for her calm image, resilience, and long-term charitable work created pressure for Meghan to generate her own international moment soon afterward. Royal watchers also pointed out what they see as a major difference in how both women reached their respective events. Catherine's Italy visit had reportedly been arranged years earlier, with planning dating back to 2022 before it was postponed because of her cancer diagnosis. Italian officials, educators, charity groups, and government representatives had spent years coordinating the trip. Supporters say she arrived as a genuinely invited guest whose presence was welcomed and carefully planned from the beginning. Critics claim Meghan's Geneva appearance looked very different by comparison. While Catherine spent years building relationships around early childhood development initiatives, Meghan's role at the World Health Assembly was described by some commentators as something secured through persistent outreach and strategic use of Prince Harry's royal status. To royal critics, the contrast between the two situations was impossible to ignore. Supporters of the royal family often frame the difference in simple terms. They argue Catherine tends to work within established systems, build long-term partnerships, and allow invitations to develop naturally over time. Meghan, on the other hand, is portrayed by critics as someone who pushes aggressively for visibility and creates the appearance of influence through media positioning and headline management. At this point, many royal reporters openly discuss the pattern of Sussex announcements appearing around major royal milestones. According to commentators, whenever William and Catherine launch a major campaign, complete a successful tour, or receive positive international coverage, another Sussex-related story often follows closely behind. Critics say the timing has become so predictable that royal media outlets now actively watch for competing headlines, new projects, or surprise appearances coming from Montecito whenever Buckingham Palace enjoys a strong wave of positive attention. Critics argue the timing of these Sussex announcements rarely looks accidental anymore. According to royal commentators, someone in Montecito appears to closely watch major moments involving the working royals and respond with carefully timed headlines, appearances, or projects meant to compete for attention. Whether this comes from Meghan's personal competitiveness or from a broader media strategy tied to branding, commentators say the outcome is usually the same. The Sussexes often seem unwilling to let Buckingham Palace dominate the news cycle without launching some form of countermove. During her Italy tour, Princess Catherine carried a handbag from Asprey, a historic British luxury brand that has held a royal warrant since Queen Victoria's era. She did not publicly promote the bag, post advertisements, or, reportedly, receive payment connected to it. She simply wore it as part of her outfit during official appearances. Yet almost immediately after photos from the trip spread online, the handbag reportedly sold out, driving massive attention and traffic to the company in a way traditional advertising campaigns rarely achieve. At the same time, reports claimed Meghan's team was trying to understand why Catherine's effortless style choices consistently generate stronger public reactions than Meghan's own carefully planned product promotions and branding efforts. Royal commentators say the difference comes down to authenticity and public perception. Supporters of Catherine argue people respond naturally to appearances that feel genuine, while overly strategic image management can sometimes come across as forced or overly commercial. Questions have also been raised about why the World Health Organization may have been willing to accommodate Meghan's reported push for involvement at the Geneva event. Some commentators point directly to the financial pressures facing the organization. After the United States withdrew support from the WHO, the organization reportedly faced a major funding shortfall that threatened operations worldwide. The United Kingdom later stepped in with a significant increase in funding, reportedly adding around £215 million on top of an already large financial commitment estimated at roughly £170 million. That support helped place Britain among the World Health Organization's largest contributors, with total backing reportedly nearing £400 million. Because of this financial relationship, some royal commentators have questioned whether the WHO would want to risk public tension with Britain or anything connected to the royal family. Critics argue the organization may have preferred avoiding conflict rather than publicly disputing claims tied to high-profile figures connected, even indirectly, to the British monarchy. Some commentators have even floated theories involving King Charles and the wider royal strategy toward Harry and Meghan. According to this line of thinking, the king may prefer a keep-your-enemies-close approach with the Sussexes, avoiding open confrontation while quietly managing tensions behind the scenes. Critics continue debating whether this softer strategy helps contain controversy or simply allows the cycle of competing headlines and public drama to continue. Some royal commentators believe the palace may occasionally allow the Sussexes limited public wins in order to avoid even bigger conflicts later on. The thinking behind this theory is that giving Harry and Meghan small moments of relevance or carefully controlled visibility could reduce the chances of another major public fallout similar to the Oprah interview. Critics often point out that when the Sussexes feel ignored or pushed aside, tensions with the royal family tend to explode back into headlines very quickly. According to this interpretation, Meghan's Geneva appearance may have been tolerated because some palace figures believed it was safer to allow a small spotlight moment rather than risk another damaging media battle. Commentators describe it as a balance of carrots and sticks, where the Sussexes receive limited opportunities to stay publicly connected without being handed anything truly powerful or official. The other side of that strategy, critics argue, is the threat of complete exclusion from royal connections and influence. Royal watchers claim that whenever Harry and Meghan feel entirely shut out, they have historically responded with interviews, documentaries, or public statements that place pressure back on the monarchy. Because of that, some believe the palace may prefer controlled engagement over outright confrontation. Still, critics say none of this would justify what they describe as exaggerated claims surrounding the World Health Assembly appearance. Even if Meghan received some level of informal tolerance or quiet approval to attend, commentators argue that presenting Archewell as a co-host alongside the World Health Organization crossed far beyond what would normally be considered acceptable. Royal critics claim Meghan took a limited opportunity and attempted to present it as something far bigger and more influential than it actually was. In their view, this reflects a long-running issue with how the Sussexes handle public attention. According to commentators, small gestures of inclusion are often turned into major branding opportunities, while limited access gets amplified into proof of global importance and influence. This is why some royal analysts argue that any strategy of accommodation becomes risky over time. They believe every small opening eventually gets tested, expanded, and pushed beyond its original limits. In their eyes, even carefully controlled engagement can quickly transform into another round of media positioning and self-promotion. Adding even more intrigue to the situation is the fact that Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, is also attending the World Health Assembly in her official role as a working royal. Her presence at the same event has fueled fresh speculation among royal commentators. Critics argue it would create an incredibly awkward dynamic if Meghan's appearance truly happened without at least some level of awareness or coordination behind palace walls. The image of two duchesses attending the same major global summit instantly sparked questions among royal commentators. One is a senior working royal still carrying out official duties for the monarchy, while the other stepped away from royal responsibilities years ago. Critics say seeing both women connected to the same high-profile event naturally fueled speculation about whether the situation was accidental or quietly managed behind the scenes. If Buckingham Palace truly had no warning about Meghan's Geneva plans, commentators argue Sophie's attendance could have created major complications. There would have been the risk of awkward encounters, competing headlines, and endless media comparisons placing the Duchess of Edinburgh and Meghan against each other in international coverage. Traditionally, palace staff work very carefully to avoid exactly this kind of overlap. Royal schedules are usually coordinated well in advance to prevent clashes and to make sure each working royal receives focused attention for their own projects and appearances. Because of that, some royal watchers believe it is possible at least some level of awareness or quiet coordination existed regarding Meghan's appearance in Geneva. According to this theory, palace officials may have known Meghan planned to attend and decided Sophie's official engagement should continue anyway. Others speculate there may even have been a level of silent tolerance surrounding Meghan's presence, allowing her a controlled opportunity to appear at a global event without granting her anything truly official or significant. Still, critics argue Meghan's public framing of the event pushed far beyond whatever understanding may have existed behind closed doors. Claiming Archewell Philanthropies was co-hosting the World Health Assembly alongside the WHO became one of the biggest points of controversy surrounding the trip. Commentators point out that nobody publicly authorized Meghan to present herself or her organization as an equal partner to the World Health Organization. Critics say there was no official announcement describing Archewell as sharing hosting duties for an institution that has operated globally for nearly 8 decades. According to royal commentators, Meghan may have secured a limited invitation or level of participation, and then expanded the public narrative around her involvement far beyond what was actually agreed upon. Critics claim this reflects a broader pattern they believe has followed the Sussexes since their time inside the royal family. In their view, limited participation often becomes publicly framed as leadership, influence, or official partnership. Many analysts argue this tendency to overreach is one reason the royal family has become increasingly cautious about engaging with Harry and Meghan at all. Critics believe every effort at inclusion eventually becomes material for publicity campaigns, documentaries, interviews, or brand-building projects tied to the Sussex name. According to commentators, even reconciliation attempts risk being turned into media content or public relations opportunities later on. Many critics believe the royal family now sees avoiding engagement with the Sussexes as the safest option. Any contact risks becoming public drama later, while no contact leads to accusations of being excluded or ignored. Meghan Markle traveled to Geneva, claiming to support children's online safety, attending an installation featuring 50 illuminated boxes showing the final lock screen images of children lost to online harm. The memorial was designed to spotlight the dangers social media can pose to young people and grieving families. Critics quickly pointed to what they see as a contradiction in Meghan's public messaging. While speaking about protecting children online, she has also shared photos of Archie and Lilibet online over the years, creating digital exposure for them from a very young age. Commentators argue this builds the exact kind of online footprint many privacy advocates warn parents about. Some critics also questioned her connection to the Parents Network linked to the event, noting reports that the organization had already been absorbed into another group last year. They argue this fits a larger pattern often associated with Sussex projects: big launches, major headlines, then very little long-term visibility afterward. Royal commentators have made similar claims about projects like Travelist and Archewell, arguing that many initiatives generate strong publicity early on but later fade from public focus. Critics say this ongoing pattern has fueled skepticism about how much lasting charitable impact actually comes from the Sussex brand. Critics say many Sussex projects follow the same pattern: a flashy launch, major media coverage, then silence once attention fades. According to commentators, initiatives often disappear from public focus, while Harry and Meghan move toward the next headline or public appearance. Meghan, speaking about the dangers of social media while continuing to grow her own online presence, has also sparked accusations of hypocrisy from critics. They argue the message feels inconsistent, especially while photos and carefully managed branding continue across social platforms. The Geneva event itself centers around a serious memorial installation featuring 50 illuminated boxes, each displaying the final lock screen image of a child reportedly lost to online harm. The display was created to honor real families and raise awareness about the risks tied to social media and digital spaces. Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus and the World Health Organization have attached major visibility to the event, with carefully staged visuals designed to attract global attention and media coverage. Supporters see the summit as an opportunity for meaningful conversations around online safety and policies that could help protect children worldwide. Still, royal commentators predict Meghan's appearance will dominate headlines over the actual message behind the memorial itself. Critics believe the focus will shift toward fashion, photos, and publicity, rather than the families and children the installation was meant to honor. Critics predict Meghan will place herself at the center of the Geneva coverage, turning a deeply emotional memorial into another major branding moment. They argue the focus risks shifting away from the families and children being honored and towards celebrity images, fashion, and publicity. According to royal commentators, this follows a pattern they believe has repeated since Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties. The charity or cause creates the setting, the cameras capture the attention, and Meghan becomes the central figure driving the headlines. Critics claim serious humanitarian issues often end up overshadowed by media, focus on her personal image and public profile. Many commentators argue the families involved in the memorial deserved a more solemn and respectful spotlight. The installation was created to honor children reportedly lost to online harm, with grieving parents contributing personal lock screen photos meant to preserve their memories with dignity. Critics also believe WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus knows more about how Meghan secured access to the event than he has publicly acknowledged. According to reports, he allegedly saw the outreach connected to Prince Harry's name and later watched Meghan attend alone, despite the earlier claims of a joint Sussex appearance. Commentators argue the World Health Organization could publicly clarify the situation if it wanted to, especially regarding claims that Archewell was co-hosting the event. But critics believe officials may prefer avoiding conflict and negative headlines rather than openly disputing Meghan's version of events. Critics say Meghan often creates situations where challenging her publicly becomes more difficult than simply staying quiet. According to commentators, once claims are pushed into headlines with enough confidence and media attention, organizations may decide that correcting the story would only create bigger controversy. Some royal watchers believe the World Health Organization faced exactly that situation. Because the UK is one of the WHO's largest financial supporters, critics argue officials may have seen little benefit in creating a public dispute connected, even indirectly, to someone tied to the royal family. Commentators claim Meghan's team moved quickly once access was secured, releasing press materials before the narrative could be questioned or clarified. By the time reports describing Archewell as a co-host spread online, critics argue the framing was already established publicly. Royal analysts say this reflects a strategy based on speed, visibility, and confidence, rather than waiting for formal approval. In their view, once a claim circulates widely enough, many institutions decide it is safer to stay silent than risk drawing even more attention by correcting it. Critics also argue this silence encourages the pattern to continue. According to commentators, every time organizations avoid publicly disputing exaggerated claims, it reinforces the idea that bold media positioning works. They believe few officials are willing to risk the headlines and conflict that come with directly challenging high-profile figures like Meghan. Some royal watchers say Dr. Tedros could easily clarify the situation with a direct statement about Archewell's actual role at the event. But critics doubt that will happen, because most large institutions prefer avoiding public confrontations whenever possible. Critics say Meghan walked away from a system that already offered the global influence and credibility she now tries to recreate on her own. As a working royal, she had access to major charitable platforms, historic institutions, international events, and the kind of recognition that comes automatically with representing the monarchy. Supporters often point to Princess Catherine as the clearest example of how that system still works today. During her Italy tour, Catherine carried an Asprey handbag tied to a brand with royal history going back to Queen Victoria. She did not advertise it or reportedly receive payment. Yet the product quickly sold out because people viewed the connection as natural and authentic rather than commercial. Commentators argue Meghan gave up access to those same kinds of opportunities when Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties. Critics say the charitable platforms, global invitations, and royal connections were already available to her if she had accepted the structure and limits that come with royal life. Instead, royal watchers believe Meghan wanted independence, while still keeping many of the advantages tied to royal status. When the palace rejected the idea of a half-in, half-out arrangement, critics say the Sussexes chose to leave completely. Since then, commentators argue Meghan has spent years trying to rebuild outside versions of the same access, prestige, and influence she once had inside the monarchy. For many royal analysts, the difference between Catherine's Italy tour and Meghan's Geneva appearance highlights the contrast between the two women's public paths and approaches to royal life. Critics say the biggest difference between Catherine and Meghan comes down to how each woman approaches public life and charitable work. Supporters argue Catherine works within established systems, builds long-term relationships, and keeps the attention focused on the causes she supports rather than on herself. Commentators claim Catherine's Italy visit happened because educational groups and officials genuinely wanted her involvement after years of work connected to early childhood development. Meghan's Geneva appearance, on the other hand, has been portrayed by critics as something driven more by persistence, publicity, and personal branding. Royal watchers also argue Catherine's appearances tend to feel more natural and cause-focused, while Meghan's events often become centered around media coverage, photos, and public image. Critics say this is why comparisons between the two women continue to grow after every major appearance. According to commentators, the Geneva controversy also reinforced a larger criticism surrounding the Sussex brand. They argue authenticity cannot be forced through press releases, aggressive promotion, or inflated claims of influence. In their view, every reported push for access, every disputed co-hosting claim, and every attempt to match royal headlines only increases public skepticism about Meghan's intentions and image. They traded a real institution for the illusion of independence. Critics say Harry and Meghan walked away from global influence, historic connections, and genuine royal credibility in exchange for a brand that now feels increasingly built around publicity and image management. Commentators argue they gave up lasting relevance tied to the monarchy and replaced it with carefully staged moments designed to keep their names in headlines. But with every controversy, every disputed claim, and every attempt to recreate royal-level importance outside the palace, critics believe the gap between perception and reality becomes harder to ignore. Many royal watchers say Meghan once had access to everything people spend lifetimes trying to reach. Yet now, according to critics, she appears stuck trying to rebuild the very influence and legitimacy she chose to leave behind. And with every new appearance, announcement, and media push, the questions surrounding the Sussex brand only seem to grow louder. What do you think about the whole situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.